tonight following months of controversy over a teacher's attire. Staff and parents in Halton have their say about a potential professionalism policy.
We're engaging them in a consultation process that's going to get their voice into this policy and into the procedure that will follow.
This after a shop teacher from Oakville Trafalgar High School made international headlines for wearing large prosthetic breasts. Plus,
for them, they say, no, you're going back. So it's really painful.
He once helped to save a police officer's life in a knife attack. Now this Toronto man is pleading for the government to let him stay in the country as he faces deportation to Uganda. And
making it easier to build semi-detached, triplexes, townhouses, stacked townhouses, and garden suites.
Mississauga lays out its plan to build more housing over the next 4 years in an effort to help the province meet its lofty targets. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. After months of controversy surrounding an Oakville High School teacher's attire, the Halton District School Board holding a meeting tonight to get feedback on its new professionalism policy, which some in the community had asked the board to put in place after the teacher made headlines for wearing large prosthetic breasts. But as Dale Manukduk explains, the policy also proving to be divisive, with some community members concerned it stops just short of a dress code.
Halton District School Board's new policy isn't really new.
We are reaffirming a lot of the existing policies and statutes that are already existing and putting it in one space for our staff.
On January 3rd, trustees passed a motion asking HDSB to create a professionalism policy. The draft presented to them includes language from the Ontario College of Teachers Standards of Practice, like being sensitive to factors that influence learning. Also noting its own existing code of conduct that staff provide students with learning environments free from distractions and to teach and model positive behavior. Last year, a teacher at Oakville Trafalgar taught a shop class wearing prosthetic breasts. In the months since, the school has received numerous threats, and some believe a clear dress code would end those.
If students have to follow those rules, I think teachers should as well, and I feel like that's a big problem in this.
My wife and I, we have certain messaging in our home about inclusion, but we also talk about safe space and appropriateness.
At the public board meeting tonight, one delegate made clear what she believes professionalism means.
Conducting oneself with responsibility, integrity, accountability, and excellence in alignment with a particular set of ethics, morals, and standards of behavior.
Another brought up the legality of the first draft policy, which was created without consulting school councils, which the Education Act says it must do. The board did send out an online survey to teachers, students, and parents.
Having thousands upon thousands of responses to an online survey is not the same as having school councils actually meet and talk about it in an open, deliberative process and come to some kind of a conclusion and then provide their written recommendations to the board.
Some public attendees heckled the board when presenting the policy. The Board of Trustees will vote on a final version sometime in the coming weeks. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Burlington.
A Toronto man is facing almost 100 charges linked to a series of sex crimes against children, including sexual assault and making child pornography. 31-year-old Daniel Langdon was arrested at his home near Finch and Weston Road last month. Among the victims, a 7-year-old child who was allegedly assaulted at a park. Ellie Chiasson reports.
This is one of the most prolific cases of sex crimes against children the city has seen, and it's allegedly linked to one man, a known registered sex offender.
Daniel Langdon, age 31, of Toronto, was arrested by the Toronto Police Internet Child Exploitation Section.
Police executed a search warrant in February at his home near Weston and Finch. They seized a number of electronic devices that contained child pornography, which police allege he had made and distributed.
There are multiple young victims, and they are spread across Ontario.
Langdon faces 96 charges, and 39 of them are for sexual assault. One such incident allegedly taking place in a Toronto park. Investigators say he lured underage victims on the internet.
In some cases, altered his image to appear younger.
It's alleged Langdon used many different aliases across many different apps, including teen dating app Swiper, but also Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, associated with different email addresses, none of them using his real name. Police say this may be why he could continue without being found out for breaching the conditions of being a registered sex offender.
He was known to police. He was charged for possession and make child pornography in the past.
Langdon was sentenced to 24 months less a day in 2017 on child porn charges, with 3 years probation on top of that. Now that he is in custody again, Detective Shetty says parents need to be wary of their children's activity online.
Kids are going to be on their devices no matter what. Teach them, the do's and don'ts of how to interact with people and strangers on the net.
Anyone who has had recent interactions with Langdon is asked to contact police as the investigation is ongoing. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
A Toronto man is facing the threat of being deported to Uganda, a country he said he fled after extreme persecution. But he's hoping the Canadian government will reconsider his refugee claim after he helped to save a Toronto police officer's life and will likely be called to testify at a possible trial. Patrick Swadden has his story.
Then I had to come here very fast.
Boniface Mwange says when he heard the sounds of fighting above his room in Etobicoke, he knew he had to help.
I need to save someone. I think so. I need to save someone. That's why I ran up to see what's going on. They were down here.
That was over 2 years ago. He found 2 Toronto police officers fighting with a suspect. One officer had been stabbed in the neck.
I helped the police. He was bleeding with blood, and I gave him a towel, and then I accompanied him outside there.
He then applied pressure to the wound as the ambulance came. That officer is alive today. Mwange's actions may have helped save his life.
Can you show me that?
But now, Mwange says he's fighting for his own life. His refugee claim has been rejected multiple times. He fled Uganda in 2018, where he says he was persecuted for being a member of the LGBTQ community. Mwange worries daily about being deported.
You get traumatized, you get depression, you don't sleep day and then, you're thinking of immigration. You don't do anything, you don't settle, you don't plan for the future.
He says Immigration Canada claims the documents he presented aren't authentic, something he disputes.
It's painful to see that the immigration, they don't take that time to contact the numbers we submit on the documents.
Now Mwange is hoping Canada will give him compassion. He'll likely be called to testify at a possible trial and says he's working hard and contributing to his community. He says he hopes having potentially saved an officer's life will help his plea. But one advocate says that shouldn't be the standard.
Permanent resident status is not a gift for services rendered, right? It's the mechanism through which all other rights are accessed. You don't have to have actually stopped a cop from being killed for you to be able to just have your deportation stay.
Hussan says Mwange is one of 500,000 people living in Canada undocumented, many living under the daily threat of arrest and deportation.
Right? People are living in real fear, and the Canadian immigration determination process constantly fails them. This person's been living here for so many years. They've laid roots. To tear them away from their community makes no sense.
Mwange says he has to report to immigration on Thursday, the threat of deportation looming with each passing hour. Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's go to Colette Kennedy now with a first check on your forecast. And Colette, today was pleasant. Tomorrow looking pretty good. Then the messy weather is back.
Yeah, we're going to end this week with a pretty powerful storm, and I'm certainly going to talk more about that coming up a little bit later in the show. We'll start you off with just a look at those daytime highs from today. And folks in Windsor, you can brag if you want to. I mean, 9 degrees, it wasn't quite double digits, but with sunshine in the afternoon hours, pretty nice day there for the first day of meteorological spring. Toronto not doing too badly with some sun coming out into the afternoon there as well. And once those winds subsided a little bit. Now, through the overnight hours, just a little bit of moisture around, and also we had a bit of melting through the day today. So tomorrow morning, as we get into a refreeze tonight, we will have some areas that are a little slick, plus this moisture, especially in the higher elevations. A little bit of freezing drizzle certainly possible, and some areas where we'll see some fog development too. So tomorrow morning, if you're up early or part of that early part of the commute, there could be some areas to watch out for, but into the afternoon, we'll have more sunshine coming through, and it's going to be quite a nice Thursday. If you do have any errands or things you need to get done before the storm on Friday, -1 tonight, and Kelda that high up to 4 degrees.
Thanks so much, Colette. Mississauga has given the green light to a plan to build more housing over the next 4 years. It's all part of an effort to help the province meet its target of building more than 1 million new homes over the next decade. Tali Ricci has more on how it will be done.
When it comes to housing in Mississauga, residents echo many of the same complaints we hear in Toronto.
All these people moving into the 905, 416 area codes, looking for places to live, and there's a shortage. Demand's outstripping supply.
It's really bad, especially for internationals.
Today, Mississauga's mayor launched the city's housing plan, saying the city is already in high demand and is gearing up to welcome tens of thousands of new residents over the next several years.
Our plan lays out a thoughtful and responsible way to accelerate growth and meet the province's targets.
The province is committed to getting 1.5 million homes built over the next 10 years. Mississauga's part in that, building 120,000 new units. The plan outlines 5 goals, including increasing supply, improving affordability, streamlining approvals, implementing the plan, and educating residents.
We will help increase the supply of housing by allowing more density in areas of our city that will be welcoming higher orders of transit, making it easier to build semi-detached, triplexes, townhouses, stacked townhouses, and garden suites.
Bonnie Crombie says it's capable of exceeding the provincial target, but it's a massive undertaking that will require the help of all levels of government, as well as support from the housing industry. For many, affordability is top of mind.
I think it's really outrageous how expensive it is for young people and older people that need a new place.
The average detached home in Mississauga is over $1.3 million, and the average rental is over $2,000 per month.
Mississauga is actually very
This housing expert says Mississauga does have a good track record of building quickly.
They have transit along here, Ontario. They have intensification that's happening at Square One Mall. They have development happening now at large scale along their waterfront. So they are well positioned. And I think the key is to make sure that as the market development is going in, that we're tapping into some of that growth and ensuring that we're getting the number of supportive and affordable and deeply affordable units.
The mayor insists affordability is a key part of the city's plan, which also includes creating incentives to protect current rentals.
Encouraging developers to build 10%, double the mandated 5% affordable units in major transit areas.
Some renters say they'll believe it when they see it.
Our rent went up like a couple months ago, so it's getting worse.
The city says residents will have the chance to learn more and share their thoughts through information sessions and online discussions. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Yesterday was the deadline for property owners in Toronto to declare whether their home is vacant or not, or face a tax. Well, today the city releasing figures on how many homeowners missed that window. More than 37,000 owners failed to declare their homes as not empty. Now, that represents less than 5% of the city's population. About 775,000 owners submitted their status before the deadline. Homeowners who didn't make the declaration could be fined $250. The province is reviewing the pricing practices of temporary nursing agencies that are involved in long-term care homes. This after a recent report found some homes were being charged up to $150 an hour for nursing staff. Lorena Redekop has more.
Not-for-profit long-term care homes say they're spending millions on temporary nursing staff due to shortages. The CEO of one group of homes told CBC agencies even wait in the parking lot, offering staff temporary positions for higher pay.
They've created a profitable business model for their friends.
The NDP raised the issue in question period.
Does the Premier or anybody on that side believe that companies should be charging $150 an hour and taking advantage of a crisis they've created in long-term care homes? Thank you.
I do understand the challenges with agency staffing in long-term care homes.
The Minister of Long-Term Care says he's brought together a technical advisory committee to hear from those affected, including long-term care associations.
You know what I'm hearing? from staff. I'm hearing that they want more flexibility than they are being provided right now under the contracts that they have signed. We're looking at that. That is why I've ordered the advisory table to give me recommendations to look at what is happening across other jurisdictions.
This Liberal MPP, who tabled a private member's bill last week to regulate nursing agencies, is skeptical.
This government made a commitment to look at those last summer. They took no action.
Opposition parties say it's an issue that needs to be dealt with quickly.
We have a problem right now. Gouging, privateering, poaching. Big problem.
What is taking them so long? They need a task force? Every report out there will tell you that the crisis in healthcare staffing it's about the pay and the working conditions that our nurses and other healthcare workers are facing.
The long-term care ministry did not provide any further details on the advisory committee or a timeline for their work. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News.
Welcome back. The Toronto Maple Leafs are on a trading spree, making numerous deals over the last few days. With the trade deadline fast approaching, the team facing immense pressure to make a deep postseason run this spring after a series of disappointing first-round exits. Meg Roberts has more.
For Marner, throws it back in front of Riley, scores!
The Toronto Maple Leafs continue to wheel and deal before Friday's NHL draft deadline. General Manager Kyle Dubas making a number of transactions the past few days.
Obviously, Kyle's been very aggressive and very active, and I think has done a great job of getting things done early.
Yesterday, the Maple Leaf shipped Rasmus Sandin to Washington for defenseman Eric Gustafsson and sent Pierre Engvall to New York for a third-round selection in the 2024 draft. And of course, fans are talking about Toronto reacquiring Luke Schenn, who last played for the Leafs almost 11 years ago.
He's mean, he's nasty, he's not shy, he'll fight, he'll hit, he'll block shots. He's that sort of traditional prototype tough defenseman that you want for your playoff run.
Also on Monday, Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty were added to the roster.
The guys that we've added bring lots to our team, lots of character, lots of grit, lots of versatility, lots of experience.
Mitch Marner in front, scores!
This is Kyle Dubas, pretty much, redoing, a third of his roster.
The Leafs have injected 6 new players into their lineup over the last couple of weeks, changing who they are at the trade deadline. But players don't seem to mind.
I think we're all in. And I think that's the group and the consensus around.
This is what it comes down to. It's playoffs, and we gotta get past that first round. So I think that's where everybody's mind's at.
With 2 more days left until the trade deadline, there's talk about further changes.
I don't think Kyle Dubas, Toronto Maple Leafs general manager, is even done.
With so many changes, players say they're spending time becoming a team.
We're gonna have a team dinner coming in here later on, so I think everybody's easy to get to know, and everybody's been meshing in really well.
The trade deadline is Friday at 3 p.m. Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
Tavares just chopped them down. McLeod in, and Costin scores at the other end. Edmonton 5-1.
Okay, not what our Leafs were looking for tonight, losing to the Oilers 5-2. The Leafs were on the ropes pretty much all night, Edmonton leading from the get-go. Toronto plays again tomorrow night against the Calgary Flames. Now, that will be the Leafs' last game before the trade deadline. And you are looking at a live look of the Toronto skyline. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of -2, but feeling more like -5 with that wind chill. Let's go back to Colette now with a look at your long-range forecast. And Colette, it seems every few days we're getting hit with a blast of winter. This next system coming at us on Friday.
Yeah, we are looking at this storm that's coming at the end of the week, and I'm going to sort of show you all the ingredients coming together that are shaping this thing. I will just remind you, we talked about it earlier in the show, a bit of patchy freezing rain or even light freezing drizzle, and some areas experiencing some fog through the overnight hours, but certainly that's not going to be widespread. Tomorrow, I also mentioned that it could be a good day for errands, yes, or at least just to enjoy the sun that will come out through the afternoon hours and the mild temperatures Thursday, because because it will not be good on the roads as we get into Friday, especially the later afternoon, evening, and overnight into Saturday. So what are the ingredients here? Well, very cold air that sunk well south into Southern California, so areas seeing snow they don't normally, and same thing as it moves into the desert Southwest. So there's that one ingredient of cold, but also this is coming together in the southern plains and meeting up with this moisture from the Gulf and putting those two ingredients together. It does mean that risk of severe weather, and they've been seeing it, but also this powerful mixture is now headed, it's got us in its targets as it comes towards the lower Great Lakes. So we go in for a closer look. Tomorrow's that breather day. And then as this moves through, much of it looking like it will be a snowfall event, but still for southwestern Ontario, the North Shore of Lake Erie, Niagara region, and yes, parts of the GTA close to the lake, I expect, again, we could see a bit of mixing in there, and that will have an impact on those snowfall totals. So we'll fine-tune that a little bit more Thursday as we look ahead to it coming on Friday. But right now it does look like 10, 15, in some cases close to 20 centimeters of snowfall. Tonight, those are your readings through the overnight hours. -2, feeling more like -5 to -6. And that's similar to what that wind chill factor will be in the GTA as that temperature drops off. And just be careful, because untreated surfaces, because we see the melting during the day and then the refreezing at night, they can be a little tricky. 4 degrees Friday. This temperature will be so crucial as to what form we get with that system coming in. It lingers into the weekend, but you also notice the temperatures are going to be above seasonal then.
Thanks so much, Colette. Finally tonight, Trillium Health Partners have received the largest corporate donation in Canadian history.
So today we announced an incredible $75 million donation from Orlando Corporation, and what they wanted to do was really inspire the community to step up. So what we're asking is that the community step up over the next 10 years to raise $75 million, and then Orlando will match that dollar for dollar with another $75 million. So the total raised will be $150 million.
The funding will be split toward 3 different priorities. $50 million will go toward the construction of the new Peter Gilligan Mississauga Hospital, which, when complete, will become the largest hospital in the country with 950 beds. Funds will also go toward a mental health program and a research institute with a focus on improving the healthcare system. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Maribel Tarouk has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.